Namaste friends, I am Jayalakshmi Ravichandran signing in on behalf of Magic Needles. This day I am here with cursive letter W in Filet Crochet. The basics of Filet Crochet and how to work chainless foundation DCs are available as separate video links in the description box below. To work this fillet, we have to begin with 61 DCs or 20 solid squares. The second, third and fourth rows have one solid square on either side with 18 open squares between them. All the odd rows are read and worked from right to left. All the even number rows are read from left to right and worked. So let us begin with the fifth row. One solid square, 10 open squares, one solid square, 5 open squares, one solid square, one open square and one solid square. The sixth row, one solid square, 2 open squares, one solid square, 5 open squares, 2 solid squares, the rest are open squares ending with a solid square. Seventh row, 1 solid square, 7 open squares, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 1 solid square, 3 open squares, 2 solid squares, 3 open squares, 1 solid square. The eighth row, 1 solid square, 4 open squares, 2 solid squares, 2 open squares, 2 solid squares, 1 open square, 1 solid square, the rest are open squares with 1 solid square. The ninth row, 1 solid square, 5 open squares, 1 solid square, 2 open squares, 1 solid square, 2 open squares, 3 solid squares, 4 open squares, 1 solid square. The 10th row, 1 solid square, 6 open squares, 5 solid squares, 2 open squares, 1 solid square, 4 open squares and 1 solid square. The 11th row, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 1 solid square, 2 open squares, 2 solid squares, 3 open squares, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 2 solid squares, 3 open squares, 1 solid square. The 12th row, 1 solid square, 2 open squares, 1 solid square, 2 open squares, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 1 solid square, 3 open squares, 2 solid squares, 2 open squares, 1 solid square, 1 open square, 1 solid square, and the last one, instead of making a solid square, complete solid square, I have made only the half solid square there. That is, I have placed only 2 DCs as the last 2 stitches with 1 chain space between them to give a clarity in that letter V. And then the 13th row again, I have worked only 2 DCs, chain 1, and then I did 2 solid squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 open squares, 3 solid squares, 2 open squares, 2 solid squares, 2 open squares and then 1 solid square. Usually solid squares contain 3 DCs and 1 common DC between them, but in row number 12 and 13 there is a small difference over there to give a clarity to the letter W over there. The rows 14, 15 and 16 are as usual, 1 solid square on either side with 18 open squares between them, and the last row is 20 solid squares or 61 DCs. Thank you friends for watching. Have a nice day.